16 minutes before the top of the hour, and could this be the moment? Urgent flashing from Dow Jones news wires. No oil flow into the Gulf of Mexico. Downstairs in our newsroom, Tim Gaughan, our National Assignments Manager, is monitoring all 12 of the BP cameras that are feeding to us, as well as an audio-only briefing which BP is providing at this instant. Tim Gaughan, what is this?
Right, Shep, that's where the information is coming from. It's coming from right here. You can't see it, of course. It's audio-only briefing that BP holds every day at 8:30 and 3:30 Eastern. Right now, Kent Wells, BP Vice President, is talking to reporters over the phone. He announced near the top of that call that, again, what you had reported, BP is saying that the oil stopped leaking for the first time in the Gulf since April. So, of course, we pulled up our BP. BP, as you know, is providing these 12 different cameras. We're still listening to the technical information in here, but as far as we can find down here, we can find no oil leaking from any of these cameras. We have them up on most of our TVs here. So to the eye, this does appear to be for the first time that no oil is coming out of that hole since the first time since April. Now we're going to log that call and try to get you the best sound bites so we can show the viewers exactly what Kent Wells announced. We're going to keep our eyes on these cameras, but this could be a bit of good news right now.
Yeah, it sounds like. Could you turn that thing down, Tim? It's kind of overpowering your mic.
Yeah, sorry.
What I'm curious, don't be. What I'm curious about is this. Have the stress tests now been completed such that they've able to cap it and that's that? Or is this the process of the test or what?
I have to go back. I believe there was a Dow Jones alert that said the integrity test started at 2:25 Central, so that would have only started at about 3:25. I do not know how long those tests take. That's what I'll try to find out, though.
We know that BP has been dialing down the flow as part of a test on a new cap. Tim, one of the fears was that they would dial the flow down to where there was nothing, and then it might blow underneath or below the surface in the core of that well. You know, that it seemed as if that was a risk they were taking, right?
Good questions all. I'm probably a little bit over my head, so I don't want to be misleading, but I'm going to get you somebody on that can speak to that point exactly.
That sounds good. Excellent. Thanks very much. We're going to go to Jonathan Seri, who's down on scene in just a few minutes. We're working to establish connection with him. We knew they were going to be dialing down, but now all the wire service confirmed what BP has just said on the call, and that is BP now reports no oil is leaking into the Gulf. So you're like, if they can do this cap now, I mean, if they can cap it and stop it, dial it down and cap it and stop it, why didn't they do it weeks ago? You know, and if they can dial it down, why do they need, I mean, why is this not just the end of it? Well, they say what they really need is these relief wells. Of course, the truth be told, it's the relief wells that are going to allow them to get that oil out of there and keep it out of there, and that way they'll be able to use it and do whatever oil companies do with oil. Hello? The other thing is that, I got you. The other thing is that if you were to just measure the flow, which they could have done over the past weeks or months, measure it, then we know exactly how much oil is coming out of there. Then we'll know exactly how much damage they've caused to our environment. We'll be able to find them exactly according to charts which are available. But, of course, they're not going to be that forthcoming with us. BP never is. Jonathan Seri's down there on scene. Jonathan, it seems like, for the moment at least, there's no oil flowing for the first time in 87 days.
That's right, Shep, but it's not over yet. It appears that they're going to continue with the stress tests up to 48 hours. If all goes well, the test will last for 48 hours. As a precaution, they want to measure the levels, the oil pressure levels, throughout that entire time in 6-hour increments to make sure that they're not approaching dangerous levels that would indicate either a breach in the well or some sort of problem with the cap. But if it's able to hold up to the pressure during that 48-hour time, at that point they'll make the decision to either just leave the cap in place as essentially a cork in that well, or if there are signs of weaknesses where they continue funneling oil up to ships on the surface and contain the oil that way. But in theory, if all continues to go well, virtually no additional oil will leak into the Gulf from this point, Shep.
And what are they going to do if somewhere between the floor of the Gulf and the reservoir of oil, some, I don't know, 3 miles below that, that well core ruptures and oil spews basically from the Gulf floor? Then what do they do?
Then you'd have a catastrophic emergency. They went through with this test on the premise that that would be highly unlikely. This was the reason for that initial delay, that 24-hour delay, the government wanting assurances from BP that this test wasn't going to make matters worse. They seem confident that this is highly unlikely, but if that were to happen, obviously it would be a catastrophic emergency, and they'd have to call in even more vessels to get involved with a massive cleanup, Chef.
Yeah.